We're getting silly today. I brought out the waifu model specifically for this video. The female Gooners must be stopped by Shoe0nHead. Now, I've been pretty transparent in regards to, I don't judge a lot of things. There are some things that I judge, absolutely. Necromorphs. That's a no-go. Final Fantasy, I guess some people like Lalafels a lot. That's a pass for me, Captain. But mostly, you know, I'm pretty chill. You know, suspension, you know, multiple people, pretty on board with a lot of stuff. You know, you like what you like. More often than not, though, I criticize how it's done, how it's written, the lighting, the plot progression, the story, right? Audio, mix and mastered, if it's correct or not, right? If it's done well or not, versus the content. So this has been one that I've actually been looking very much forward to.
Oh, I didn't see you there. What am I reading, you ask? Well, just one of the best-selling books on Amazon right now. With millions of sales and almost 20,000 five-star reviews, this book has been absolutely blowing up, especially on TikTok, or BookTok, as the kids call it. Thousands and thousands of women, in particular, have been raving about this piece of literature. What piece of literature is it, you may ask? Well, Morning Glory Milking Farm, of course. A popular romance novel about a young woman down on her luck who does what every young woman does when facing financial struggle. She starts an OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. She wouldn't degrade herself like that. She gets a job jerking off monsters.
That's right, the Morning Glory Milking Farm.
I have been reading Morning Glory Milking Farm since last night, and I'm obsessed.
This was
Mate, you couldn't pay me to admit this. You couldn't, not necessarily out of, like, embarrassment, right? But, like, time and place, right? I feel like you have to be with other like-minded people, right? It's like if someone starts to talk about something spicy, and then you jump right into, well, yeah, no, the hot wax and hanging from the ceiling. Bro, little bit of an escalation there, right? I mean, obviously, yes, this is the internet, and this is towards a specific part of the internet. The context is not lost on me. Yeah, this is an interesting one. That's literally like saying, like, insert H title here. Like, yeah, I just watched this in casual conversation about anime. That doesn't quite adhere to the social contract, right?
a good time. It did not disappoint.
If this book is trash, then I am a fucking raccoon. Give me all of the garbage.
Get your eyeballs on this because it is so good.
It's gonna be a good one.
I regret to inform you that there is a new epidemic. An epidemic that many have yet to discuss. And that epidemic is female Gooners.
I'm reading what I read.
Now, for those of you unaware,
I mean, and this is the thing, I don't even have a problem with this, right? I genuinely don't. I do bring up the fact that it's not fair, it's not equal. There's that word again, equal goes into equality. That if a man talks about big bahonkadonkas, right? Oh, we're just filthy, and it's just the male gaze, and, you know, well, you need to make sure. Unironically, I do look respectfully. When people say my eyes are up here, I'm like, I literally am looking at your eyes. I'm very specifically looking at your face, right? The part that I think is going to be the big frustration for a lot of people, and why this is going to cause issues, is it's not equal. There are biases, and I'm not talking about like, well, you like this thing versus you like this thing. It's literally like, it's not fair, right? Because if I said something like, I don't know, Monkitsu Happening is an amazing comedy, okay? That plot line alone is amazing. Like, actual story plot. Just amazing, right? I'm going to get a bunch of people who are going to, like, scratch their head and go, you know, probably don't talk about stuff like that, right? And then it's like, I don't know, talking about Morning Glory and how it's an amazing book, and it's like, and that's accepted. That duality becomes the issue.
Gooner is internet slang for someone addicted to porn. And smut is slang for dark romance novels, otherwise known as porn. Many correct about the dangers of addiction with men, how it can destroy their lives and their relationships. And most men know the material they consume is weird. That is why they are ashamed of it. That is why
Yeah, there's a reason there's the phrase "not one's proudest fap." That phrase exists for a reason.
they delete their browser history. That is why they go incognito mode. But these bitches freaks out here. They display their smut openly in bookstores. They proudly pose in front of their smut collections. They discuss their smut openly on TikTok. They go to smut conventions and get choked out by 9-foot-tall shirtless Wendigos. Now, I know what you are thinking. Shoe, isn't this the pot calling the kettle degenerate? Yes. Yes, it is. But have
Fair.
you considered it takes one to truly know one? You see, women are strange, fascinating creatures. For centuries, men have tried to figure us out. Our mood is affected by the tides and the moon. We bleed for 5 days and don't die. By painting my face, I can instantly shapeshift from a 4 to a 6. We are truly mysterious, magical creatures.
I would say, I mean, I'd say at base, she's probably what? A 7? Right? I think that's a little too self-depreciative. I don't know, but you have to remember my mark for things is off. I think Sydney Sweeney's like a 7. Just she's okay. Yeah, 7 or 8. I think that's a fair like in base, right? I think that's a fair and reasonable metric.
But one of the most mysterious aspects of women to men is our sexuality. You see, us women are not like those disgusting moids. No, we are sophisticated. We are evolved. We don't watch videos of strangers slapping their sweaty bodies together. No, we read about strangers slapping their sweaty bodies together. It's different, okay? You don't understand. It's okay when we do it. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the rapidly growing popularity of dark romance on TikTok and the recent dark romance convention that ended in disaster. Let's take a break from all this depressing political news and talk about something silly. Not that
Honestly, I'm for this, dude. I have been hearing it every single day I wake up, every single day, and it's been politics this, politics that. No, I won't be diving into it, of course, right? It has been such a nonstop torrent that I honestly needed something like this. So I do appreciate it. I do appreciate the Shoe0nHead.
those political things aren't important. Trust me, they are. You should be keeping up with politics and the news when you can. I know it can be difficult to do, but fear not. I have an app for that.
That's a 10. That's a actual 10 transition.
So before we get into this video, let's quickly give a shout out to our sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers an easy way to read news from all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of political bias that helps you understand the full story and makes sure you're getting both sides. One of my favorite features on Ground News is the blind spot feature, which shows you news stories that have been covered by one side of the political aisle and ignored by the other. For example, here's a story about how Gavin Newsom is signing a bill to give 800,000 Uber and Lyft drivers in California the right to unionize. Pretty cool. Rare Newsom W. 12 news sources covered this, 7 were left-wing and 0 were right-wing, because the right is covering a far more important topic. Harvard hires drag performer Lahore Vagistan as a visiting professor. 21 news sources covered this, 20 were right-wing, 1 was left-wing. A country divided, truly. Ground News also makes it very easy to compare headlines, so you can see how political bias completely reframes a story. For example, talking about how Trump has been posting a bunch of those sombrero memes, and the New York Post says, White House official behind Trump's hilarious meme war on Dems revealed. And then a left-wing outlet covers the same story, like, as the shutdown continues, a checked-out Trump posts childish memes. Wildly different vibes going on here.
I've chosen not to talk about a lot of this. The most you will force out of me is that the military needs to get paid. That's it. Last I checked, something last 50 years. Something, it's not patriotic. It's very un-American to not support your troops. So this one's been a wild one for me. And this is like completely nonpartisan, like just actual like common sense opinion. If someone's doing a job, you should just pay them. If you're going to get in the way with that, especially when it's considered non-American, get out. Go away. Like, you're literally not doing your job. And that's the thing. Just saying that literally comes down to, well, you see, it's this side versus this side. It's like, bro, yeah, I'm checking out of that. Like that becomes the problem, is when stuff becomes politicized and then it becomes a partisan issue, or it becomes, my freedoms, or it becomes whatever flavor of the week, right? Like military should get paid. They're literally doing a job. If you're not paying them, clearly they get a vacation. Simple as. That is the most you will force out of me.
I've been using Ground News since 2021. It is one of my favorite apps. Like, it is my go-to. Like, when I wake up, I like check Twitter and then I check Ground News like immediately. But don't just take my word for it. Even the Nobel Peace Center called it an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. Best of all, I am currently offering 40% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to access all their amazing features. And it's only $5 a month, which is like basically the price of a coffee nowadays. So go to ground.news/shoe or use the QR code here on screen, or use the link in the video description. So thank you to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Right?
I never skip the ads, dude. The ads are the best part. That's a 9. I'll explain in a second. Had a couple things I want to shout out. Ranch Dog VA, thanks for the sub, and then E4 Mafia Mechanic, thank you for the bits as well. Appreciate that. So audio is fine. Audio is consistent. Clearly, this was done on a different take. Transition was seamless, flawless. That was a 10. Obviously, she uses the product. Relevant to viewer, relevant to really anyone, if I can be completely honest. The one thing I'll dock it on is it felt like we were being read at versus being read to, if that makes sense. Like, you can feel how like the paragraph and sentences are structured. Like, if I read something like, John Doe works 9 to 5 versus, talking to you, yeah, John Doe works 9 to 5, right? How there's a little bit of a difference there. That's the only criticism I could give. Otherwise, 10 transition, I would give that a 9 in terms of an ad read, right?
So let's get back to the video. Book Talk is a very interesting place, and any book fans out there know how it has absolutely destroyed the hobby of literature and just flooded it with absolute slop. Spicy slop. You see, books on TikTok are not rated by how well they are written or how good the characters are. No, they are rated by the spice. And what does spice mean? Porn.
Yeah.
It means porn. Spice level is very important to book talkers. How much spice does a book have? What are the spiciest books they have ever read? How spicy is the book they're currently reading? Spice, spice, spice. And the spiciest book going viral on Book Talk lately is none other than Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nascosta. Violet is a typical down-on-her-luck millennial, mid-20s, overeducated, and drowning in debt.
Is this the female girl boss? Stop me if you've heard this before.
Oh my god! She's just like me! On the verge of moving into her parents' basement, when a lifeline appears in the form of a very unconventional job in the neighboring Cambric Creek. She has no choice but to grab it with both hands.
So I want us to do a quick exercise, really quick aside, and I want you to keep in mind, Eli from the Unsubscribed podcast, if there is a statement that changing a single facet of that statement suddenly makes it problematic or shifts the view completely, maybe your statement as a whole is kind of problematic from a certain point of view, right? This is how I'm applying it to this. I want us to apply this to a man, right, in modern society. So let's say Kip is a typical down on his luck person. Obviously, I'm adjusting this to, just hit 30, overeducated, drowning in debt, on the verge of moving into his parents' basement. When a lifeline appears in the form of a very unconventional job at the neighboring Cambric Creek, he has no choice but to dive in. I don't know. Let's just adjust this a little bit, right? What I'm trying to get at is, let's approach this from the male perspective. How would this be perceived? Do you think it'd be perceived positive? Or do you think that this is going to be those men who are just living off of welfare or don't have jobs or providing nothing to society, living in mom and dad's basement, not having kids, right? You see how just twisting that turns that into something else completely? And that's going to be the core issue here. Let me tell you a secret, okay? I'm going to tell you a secret. No one cares what you're into. Is it legal? Is it reasonable? Sure. Cool. Maybe don't share that you engage in some golden showers and stuff like that, right? Maybe that's for a select group of people who are pretty, pretty comfortable with that, because everyone has different comfort levels, right? Like, no one really cares, if we're being completely honest. And the people who do, I feel, are a vast minority of people. Or they just don't talk about it, which is also a thing. Like, people just don't talk about it, and they'll try to put on an air of, well, I care, and something. Okay, Barbara, you want to talk about that dungeon you have? you want to talk about your excess belts and collars you have in your closet? Bro, no one cares. It's when you start being a hypocrite and when you start actively being a problem is when people care.
Morning Glory Farm offers full-time hours, full benefits, and generous pay with no experience needed.
Dude, are you kidding me, bro? Dude, people would do a lot for that.
There's only one catch. The clientele is grade A certified prime beef.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God. With the manly, meaty endowments to... Okay.
Morning Glory Milking Farm is actually a profound critique of late-stage capitalism and toxic masculinity.
Bro, how are we blaming men? What? If I look up CM Nacosta, and this is a woman, I'm going to laugh. Nas. Oh my god, I can't spell today. Nascosta. Author. Monster Romance, High Heat, Always Sweet. Best-selling author. She! Literal pronoun she. If we're gonna argue nothing, it literally says she. Bro, how? Oh, well, you see, but this is toxic masculinity from the lens of a woman experiencing and viewing the world. Bro. Bro, please. Bro, please. Oh my god, no way.
In this text, we see that the tingling sensation in her coochie is actually the tingling sensation of a Marxist revolution.
Okay, this is Japes. This is actually, like, this is r/doesn't, like, r/ never happened. This is actually, like, a joke. There's no way that's real.
This is every fucking BreadTube video to me, dude. This is every Jack Saint video. So I actually read the book myself, and I'm not gonna lie.
I salute you.
The 19th Amendment needs to be abolished. So, like I said, the story is basically this millennial named Violet, and she gets a job basically working at Big Pharma in Narnia, where they harvest Minotaur milk to make Viagra for human males.
Right.
And I read the whole thing.
See, here's the thing that comes to mind, though. Like there's sentience, right? But what's the legality of it in setting, right? Is this seen as taboo? Is this seen as kind of like a black market operation? Is this seen as above board? Is there the ability to consent? Is there the inability to consent? Is this kind of like a weird Harry Potter Ministry of Magic Department for Magical Creatures kind of thing, where like centaurs and stuff are seen as like less human? So then, therefore, in setting, you could get into a situation where even if they're sentient enough, right, and obviously like legal bureaucracy aside, even if they're sentient enough to communicate and consent. Does that in setting mean that, like, they legally still couldn't consent because they're considered lesser creatures? See, all of these things come to mind, okay? You have to world build correctly. Well, Kip, that's not what your average person thinks about. They should be thinking about this. This is what leads to a good story, okay? Come on. I don't judge the content as much as I judge the execution, okay? If your lighting is awful, your mixing and mastering is just rough, okay? If you got the lawnmower outside in the video, just okay, it rips me out of the experience, okay? There, I said it, okay? You're going to have a lot of people who are going to silently nod, but you're definitely going to have, people who, those same people say, I would never watch something like that. No, sir. And you know what? Good for you for never watching that. I can respect that.
I'm gonna be put on some kind of watch list. But listen, this is my job, okay? I'm not out here, like, selling feet pics or something. What I do is far more dignified and normal. Now, let's take a look at some of these notes I wrote. Let's see. Big dick and balls. At one point, she says the term, and I quote,
see here her banging the spine of the book on her desk is very much a euphemism for just kind of dropping that wood, just slapping the wood on the table. I think it's very good from an artistic standpoint.
The seam of his sack. So I'm reading this, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, okay, he probably
I'm instantly judging. I'm very much judging.
has, like, a human head, right? He probably, like, looks something like this, like, you know, just a dude with, like, horns. Then I see the official artwork. That's a cow. Bro is a cow. Bro is a straight up cow. In a few parts, they're being intimate, and it will be like, his hooves clip-clopped. My hooves will tear up your sheets.
No. See, you can't say clopped, okay? A community already has that. We don't talk about that. We very specifically do not talk about that, okay? You can't just appropriate terms, especially when some terms you really shouldn't say, okay? You just can't reappropriate that.
And it's like, I'm sorry, his what? At one point, she describes kissing him, and I swear to God it was more disgusting than anything else described in this book. She's like describing how big and wide his mouth is and how big and like slimy his tongue is. She's like describing the shit, and you're just like, that's a cow. I mean, we are at a solid 5.5 on the Barbeau scale here. This is dangerous territory, folks. She also f***ers his ass.
Some people are into it. That's all I got on that one. Some people are into it. I don't judge. Probably one of those things you keep to yourself until you read the room.
She f***ers the cow's ass. By the way, if you want an uncensored version of this video and all my videos, Patreon. Go to
Legend.
Patreon, become a member. All members get the uncensored version of every video, so you can hear me talking about f***ing and f***ing a cow's ass.
Now that's 800% value, okay? Activision Blizzard could learn a thing about that.
Is that what you freaks want? Anyway, I like how in this fantasy world, student loans still exist. Like, we can imagine a world with minotaurs and humans in a relationship, but we can't imagine a world without student loans. Sad. Oh, and he has one of those bowl rings, like the nose ring theory
Yeah.
septum rings. And in this world, that means, like, you're married, but apparently he's divorced. The man is divorced. This is a divorced cow with a cow ex-wife. The lore is deep, folks.
Okay, I can kind of understand that. It's like how I had somebody talk to me recently about certain tops and certain coverings, right? Certain, like, brassiere, if you will, if it has a ring in it. I thought that was just an aesthetic thing, but I guess in certain circles it actually has meaning behind it. Like, that one doesn't surprise me as much, if I'm being honest. I would argue that's also an interesting way, if not a good way, to add, you know, world building, right? Kind of using concepts, maybe turning them on their head a little bit and applying it to the story. I could totally see that. No, like, I can respect the world building here. Like, there are thoughts and considerations made to things like that.
The funniest part, though, has to be when they go on a date. I need to just read this to you. When the bill arrived, she attempted to pull a handful of carefully folded bills from her wristlet before he stopped her. No, that's absolutely not happening. Put that away. She'd not thought about it until the day after their first dinner together, realizing that in mortification that she ought to have attempted to pay her half. What kind of feminist are you? She asked herself. She couldn't remember the last time she'd been out and hadn't paid for her half, including her coffee date with Carson Tinsley. She had come prepared that night, several weeks of her tips smoothed and tucked into her wristlet. But I didn't even offer to pay half the other night and shouldn't have. Violet. If the commanding rumble of his voice hadn't silenced her. The heat of his hand dropping to her knee would've. I don't want you to feel that you don't have any agency here. I might be the one giving all the orders, but you hold all the cards. Your comfort is the only thing that counts right now. And if I overstep, I want you to know you can tell me so. But that's not happening. Don't think I'm unaware we're at different points in our careers. You can say no, you can say you don't want to see me again, you can tell me to stop coming to the farm when you're working. It's dinner, not a down payment of your time, but I'm in a position to comfortably spoil someone. So when you're with me, I'm spoiling you. End of story.
So this is the literary equivalent of, like, you turn on your car, like the engine turns over, you turn it on, and then you'll go like a mile or two, and then the engine goes chug 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 chug, and then you have to turn off the car, and you turn it back on, the engine turns over, it's fine for the next couple of miles, and then the engine chugs again, and then you have to turn it's the way that this is written is supposed to be smooth and sensual. I understand that. I understand how it flows, but every time I get into the flow, I get beat over the head with some really on-the-nose messaging, right? Like, oh, cool, we're getting into the flow. What kind of feminist are you? Like, the 2x4 just smacks me in the face and rips me out of the story completely. You know, okay, we're getting into it. Okay, she came prepared. Something, weeks of tips smoothed over and tucked into her wristlet. You know, maybe you should pay this. And then, like, his commanding voice. And it's just like, the accentuations on things do feel a little improper and maybe even inappropriate. And I use that in the term in regards to, like this is supposed to be written as a sensual and smooth piece, but there are very much dead stops with weird accentuations and even messaging. So that's kind of ripping me out of this, if I'm honest. Like, so far from this, I would give this baby like a 7 out of 10, right? I see there's potential. I think the author has a lot of potential. I like they're able to smoothly and eloquently get on, start up, the engine turns over and they're moving, right? Going a couple miles down the road, and then it's just a dead stop. Like, it just kind of like breaks your immersion and throws you out of the story for a minute, and then you have to get into it again, and it breaks it again.
She was a good feminist, she told herself, and she definitely couldn't be bought. But if he had suggested at that moment that he would have appreciated a blowjob, she would have fallen face first on his cock with an...
Dude, you have to lead up to that, though. You have to lead up to this. You can't just drop that mid-sentence. Like, George Lucas, right? Mark Hamill and George Lucas. Mark Hamill, George, who talks like that, right? Like, it has to, yes, you have to scene set. Yes, you have to progress the plot, but it needs to be done in a reasonable way, right? Like, even in, like, Marvel movies and stuff, right? Where you'll have people talk to each other and there's dialogue, even during a fight, right? Ultron talking through because one of the actual Marvel movies I did watch, right? Age of Ultron, like, he talks throughout, and it's like, when he, shows up midway, in his actual, like, his prime form, right? When he actually has the body you see throughout the rest of the film, right? And then he decides to do something, right? When he just clobbers somebody or just came in somebody, right? The suddenness to it is additive, right? I feel like there's a lot of potential here, but I feel like it's raw potential and not quite refined, if that makes sense.
Open mouth without a shred of hesitation. Inside every woman, there are two wolves. Or two bowls. The strong, independent girl boss and the submissive, doting housewife. And in the presence of a masculine man, or a farm animal, she will fold like a lawn chair and instantly return to factory settings.
It's dinner, not a down payment for your time. But I'm in a position to comfortably spoil someone, so when you're with me, I'm spoiling you. End of story. I said, okay, I highlighted that paragraph for myself.
Clean up aisle 5. So that's what I thought of it.
Gross.
But what did other people think of it? What are the reviews on this book? This book has a 4.1 on Amazon with...
I could see that. I could see a 4.1 being reasonable for this. I would see maybe a 3.8 being a little... Like, if I were to read this, it'd probably be somewhere, about 3.8. I could see that. Like, there's it's not like it's bad, right? Like, there's potential here, but it's not quite there.
21,000 ratings and a 3.6 on Goodreads with nearly 60,000 ratings. Let's just read some random ones here. Hear me out. Hear me out. A milking good time. Sweet and creamy. The spice is spicing. I was very leery of starting this because I thought it was just going to be porn. The plot is pretty good. The plot? Please.
I mean, to be fair, I watched High School of the Dead specifically for the plot. I genuinely watched it for the plot. I'm not, this isn't japes. I actually watched it for the plot. Sure, you have, like, the episode 6, right? You have the funny apartment episode, right? And you have a lot of fan service, right? No, like, I actually watched it for the story. Like, the how quickly the school turns to ruin, right? The downfall of society, how the teacher just gets super sleazy, and how, because the world has fallen into ruin, people are able to, kind of devolve into more base instincts, right? That's why you see an immoral teacher, right? Could be representative of, the prim and proper professional, very much being corrupted, by his own desires, right? How the U.S. military, right, operates, how leading into the culmination of the nuke being fired, the EMP at the end, right? Yes, I watched it, but you know how most people remember it? Most people remember it from the funny bullet scene, the bullet dodging scene, and that, you know what? It worked, clearly. It works because of that marketing, right? I did, in fact, watch it for the plot, though. So I can kind of get behind that.
This is like the new, I read Playboy for the articles, like, sure you do. This book could kill a Victorian child. 5 stars, I'll never look at a jug of milk the same. I think I'm lactose intolerant now. That happened. Our eyes will never see the gates of heaven. 1 star, not a helpful guide. This book failed to teach me how to milk a cow, and now my family has no food for the winter.
That's a 10.
1 star, accidentally ordered while on pain medication after an operation.
Oh, no.
Gave this to my mom as a joke gift for Christmas. You what? Lesai. Why can't human males be more like this?
I think there is a line, though, right? And I've talked about this before, right? Like, there is a line. I actually disagree with a lot of the VTuber community, because, like, a lot of VTubers will talk with, like, their moms and stuff, and there'll be like, well, sweetie, I got you your first, like, implement or toy, and I'm like, I think that's a step too far, personally. Like, everyone has their own parenting style. I get that. Everyone has their own way of doing things, right? And I've known, moms who have taken, say, their daughters to, like, I don't know, like a funny shop, right? But there's a difference between, like, haha, we went to funny, and like from an education perspective, and there's a difference between, like, moms and daughters actively talking about like toys and like buying each other gifts and stuff, right? And you can apply this to, I guess, the male perspective as well, right? Like, there's a difference between, like, I don't know, you talking to your dad, and like there's that kind of mention about like some spicy magazines, or like, back in the 80s, I mean, there were just some magazines, right? But there's a reasonable end to the conversation, right? You're not necessarily hearing about your like, I don't know, your dad's exploits in the 80s, talking about beavers and carpet and stuff, right? Because clearly they're just a contractor. That's, of course, what I'm referring to. They're just a contractor for a living, 100%. But like, there's a reasonable divide here. That's been one I've been trying to figure out. I've been kind of struggling with where that's come from. And the most I can kind of get to is the overfamiliarity and the blurring between parent and child. Like, not in a, like, parents are doing things to their children way, but, like, parents are not parents, and they're seen as friends. And I do think that there should... and I've had this conversation with my own parents, where I tell them, like, I'm not your friend. You're not my friends. You are parental figures. I am your child, right? This is how this works. That does come with the territory of you being able to pull the card should you choose to play it, of, well, I'm your parent because I said so. It is because I say it is, right? That's I think we really need to just kind of as a collective really kind of define parental standards and like what isn't acceptable, if that makes sense. As I said, I do disagree with a lot of the VTubing community, because there is a lot of people in the VTubing community who will just openly talk about like toys and stuff as parent and child. And I do disagree with that. I think that is a bridge too far personally. And likewise, it would be the same if, I don't know, a father hopped on to, their son's, stream or whatever, and they were talking about their conquests and exploits and stuff, right? I think that there's a line. Or like, I don't know, maybe if the dad bought the son a Tenga or something like that. Right there, there's a line. And I think that we've kind of blown past that.
Tall, rich, and handsome are no longer enough, boys. Now you have to be a 9-foot tall creature from Greek mythology with a 13-inch dick. I never
Yeah.
want to hear from another person about how they read 100 books in a year if this is the kind of slop they are consuming. Well, Ronald, man detected, this isn't for you. This is for women. So take your ass back to Barely Legal Babysitter 5 or whatever the f you watch that is so morally superior than this. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone, okay? God bless America. It's great to live in a country where I can casually enjoy cozy erotica about a young woman who milks her way to financial security and true love with a minotaur. This is what freedom looks like, and I intend to fully enjoy it before the Supreme Court takes this right away next.
That's a 10. That's a 10 review.
If this is what freedom looks like, I'm really rethinking my stance on freedom, not gonna lie.
What? Are you saying you don't want to tongue wrestle a cow? Right? What happens if in setting, right? They have that cut, okay? And now I have made at least 10 people vomit. You're welcome. Gross.
Maybe we should have less of it. All I know is if Donald Trump takes the monster porn, we are going to make 2020 look like a picnic, okay? Bull cock matters. Oh my god. Edit that out. Editor, edit that out.
No.
Women are gonna be picking up Animal Farm now, like, where's the horse cock? Some of you
It picks up Animal Farm. You know, I keep hearing about Snowball, and I don't know. Like, I mean, he seems like he's a very repressed individual, seems a little more vanilla, and, you know, but I feel he could get, you know, with the right guidance, he could be very much kind of lead into kind of maybe a soft dom status, to which the response is, Hip, that's not what the book is about, which you would be correct. See, I read that book in high school, okay? I actually enjoyed Animal Farm. I also enjoyed the animated movie. It's a very good commentary. I actually enjoyed it.
people owe a certain streamer an apology because this book has way too many 5 stars. Some of you are lying. So after buying this book, Amazon has given me a few interesting recommendations.
Lovely.
Would you like to see them? I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend. That time I got drunk and saved a demon. Gentling the beast. Cupcakes for my orc enemy. Mane of my existence. The gargoyle and the spinster. The widow and the orcs. Hoarded by the dragon. There's something about dragons.
I'm sorry, no, we need to go back to that art.
The widow and the orcs. Hoarded by the dragon.
Right. No. Not, So Shoe0nHead, about that breeding kink you keep talking about, right? Those people are going to gravitate to this. I can't quite put my finger on it. Might have to do something with the art. Something where your line of sight, right? Like, you know, your path, the path of where your eye takes through the image, right? So something about this just tells me that kind of scratches that itch a little bit. Just I don't know, just a wild theory.
There's something about dragons. Getting it on with gargoyles. Gotten by the gator. Mated to the mountain bear. Oh! On with gargoyles. Gotten by the gator.
No. 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 Not the gator. Ma, there's a gator in the house again. Beats Randall with a shovel.
Mated to the mountain bear.
No.
Oh, so this is why they chose the bear. The billionaire orc. Moth manager. Wolves and whipped cream. The wolf in my tavern. Pounded by produce.
I mean, people do that as is. I can't recommend it. I would very much recommend that you do your research before this, because people, yeah.
Oh, what? Are these the books the Nazis burned?
My husband only reads finance and sci-fi books, and so I think it's about time that I introduce him to some real literature.
Oh my God, no, you don't want to do that, because he's going to get at least, I think he'll give it an honest chapter, maybe 2. I feel that's just going to make him uncomfortable, right? You also need to preface with the actual content material, right? Like, if you hand someone, like, I don't know, if you hand someone a funny manga and like you're like, oh no, it's just a light read, and it ends up having like tag X-ray, NTR, inflation. You're like, okay, you need to warn me about this. These tags exist for a reason. Okay, you need to preface some with that. You cannot drop the inflation X-ray tag on somebody without them knowing. Okay, that's just cruel and unusual.
So the first book that I would like to introduce you to is called Morning Glory Milking Farm, and it's not a normal milking farm like with cows. What it is it's big, bulky minotaurs, and it's a special type of milking.
God, this is actually real.
Honey, she's his stepsister, and she got stuck in the washing machine again.
Exactly, bro. It always makes me laugh because the English like localization of Sailor Moon was okay with Jupiter and Uranus being cousins rather than being lesbian lovers. That's a very special commentary. Okay, that was Sailor Moon when it was first localized, right? Like the line has gone up.
Women on TikTok are openly, proudly talking about the porn they consume and getting mad at people when they make fun of it. I hereby ban men from reacting to romantasy on TikTok.
Can you imagine, right? I ban women from reacting to insert funny title here, right? Insert a Pirates of the Caribbean parody, right? Insert that here, right? Is that fair? Is that reasonable? No, it's stupid. Like, here's the thing. In doing anything, you open yourself up to criticism, right? Like me reacting to this, right? Opens me up to criticism, both from people who do like React content, who don't like React content, who complain about how I pause too much and just let the video play 5-head, to people who, might not be into this kind of stuff. And that's completely fine. This is a little different. And I don't really have these conversations, on stream a lot. Like, it comes up in the odd video, but like, I don't talk about it because it's a read the room situation, right? Not everyone who comes on by is consenting to have a conversation about moral and ethics and an analysis on funny milking farm book, right? That's just how that works, right? You don't go to your, I was going to say go to your place of work, but that's an HR meeting waiting to happen, right? You don't go just, to a group of randoms and talk about how, I don't know, you did some funny with the English cucumbers and the eggplant, and not separately, both, okay? Which would be very impressive. You might want to make sure to take care of yourself after, but I mean both that's impressive. You should probably contact Guinness at that point. Right? But it's the Family Guy meme. Who starts a conversation like that? We just sat down. Like, you have to read the room, right? If I, as a neurodivergent individual, can read the room and go, you know what? Not going to talk about it, okay? Most people here are talking about other things. We're talking about gaming, or we're talking about, we're just doing anything else, right? It's kind of a break in conversation, a record scratch moment, if you just, bring up reading a book about a milking farm, or talking about a specific spicy video or comic or whatever that you came across, right? Read the room. This isn't hard, okay? I promise you.
Best-selling romantasy books like A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Fourth Wing contain descriptions of hot sex.
Yeah, I have known several people who love Sarah J. Maas books.
I feel like that's common knowledge, if not their primary purposes. But in recent months, book talk has become full of men clutching their pearls while reacting to steamy scenes from these popular female-centered books. Obviously, this is all a massive performance. We live in the age of OnlyFans. The odds are that these men have seen actual porn that defies the laws of physics and God. Over 90% of men...
What was the meme Country Girls Make Do, and it was about a forklift? I don't remember if that was Japes or if that actually happened at this point. I genuinely don't remember. But, yeah, things that you definitely shouldn't do that are relevant to that conversation about physics. Do not the farm equipment. Do not. Genuinely do not, okay? Have some kind... What was the other one? Something about someone taking, 1,000 guys or something like that? And, lo and behold, the after effect, right? Something about disassociating and it being damaging to her mental health. Weird. Who would have thought that that would be a thing, and that we definitely had actresses in the 80s that tried doing similar and also had issues with that. No, there's definitely nothing you could find off of a Google search. No, sir.
Between the ages 16 and 73 watch porn in any random month. There's statistically no way all of these guys are shocked by the sex itself. What they are gawking at is sex from the perspective of female desire, scenes that depict women coming first and frequently. And what they are surprised by is the women they know love these scenes. In one video, a guy declares, "Now I know why women enjoy book clubs and wine." But his astonishment in itself is astonishing. Like, what do you think adult women were into? Not having sex and drinking wine? Grow up.
I mean, to be fair, book club doesn't telegraph that. Book club to me telegraphs that they read something like, I don't know. I was gonna say War and Peace, but that might be antiquated, right? Like reading something like Wheel of Time, but I guess that's also male centric, right? Usually these chats, as I understand this, are kind of kept in their own like ladies chat that men don't have access to for obvious reasons, or maybe some do. It depends on the situation, depends on like the friend group, right? But yeah, a lot of these are kept to ladies chat. I don't ask what goes on in ladies chat, if I'm being honest. I don't ask. It's not my place. Probably best I don't know, if I'm being honest. But I mean, like, it comes down to talking and stuff, right? And like, you can talk about things as we're talking about things in this video, right? Like, it's not like, what's a good it's not like the It's Getting Hot in Here music video where everyone just starts stripping, right? Like, it's not that, right? Very much cool. We're going to sit around and we're going to talk about this thing. And sometimes you talk about the spicy things, right? It's still just that. It's just talking. I don't know. To me, I guess I'm also diametrically opposed to that viewpoint because, like, I also am just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Like, I just kind of accept it because for all intents and purposes, it does make sense. I guess I wasn't like, well, even I can't even say I wasn't expecting it. Because, like, yeah, I assume stuff like this happens in lady chats all the time. So I guess I am just expecting it. I don't know. Read the room situation, right? Kind of read the room kind of thing.
Imagine a group of men sitting around drinking wine, discussing the porn they watch. That is what you guys are essentially doing. It's just
right, and then it's vilified when men do it, right? That's where's the fairness?
funny, okay? Like, it's funny. Are we really going to pretend that a story about a young woman getting a job milking mythical creatures to pay off her student debt is not funny? It's funny. If that makes me a sexist and misogynist, you got me. To act like you are so different and above the other Gooners is just, it's silly. I'm sorry.
So the social contract here is that because it is book and because you have to read book, therefore it is seen as more intellectual. It is seen as more refined, aristocratic, if you really wanted to push it to the extreme, right? That's really the like perceived difference here. You watch funny images on a screen. I read spicy images or spicy settings in this novel, right? We're not the same. Is the meme that's being imposed here.
But you are no different than Joe Schmo jorking it to fat booty Latinas in Space 12. You're sitting
Based.
there all high and mighty, one hand on the book, acting like you're so superior because you can perfectly envision a horse cock spinning 360 degrees in your mind. I'm not impressed. The scenes these men are reading, to many people, myself included, are insanely sexy. But purely in terms of the acts being described, they aren't all that lurid. And as many of the comments on these videos point out, there's much wilder stuff out there. For example, these men have clearly not yet discovered nodding, a popular term
Thing I was not expecting to hear in this video. Oh my god. Not that I know what that is, of course. I have no idea what this is.
I'm in romantasy right now that involves werewolves whose penises get so swollen after sex they have to stay inside their partners until the swelling subsides.
Definitely a thing I just learned today. Absolutely. Definitely a thing that I just learned today. Absolutely. I am shocked that this exists on the internet. How could you? How did we get here? Oh my god. It's unfortunate because there's people who are going to come across this and this is their first interaction. I'm just, oh my god. You sweet summer child. I wish it wasn't so. I'm sorry that this has to be the bringer of bad news.
Oh, honey, that's not a popular trend in romantasy. That's just a thing real dogs do. Oh, you just...
Oh my god. Oh my god, no. You, please. Please, don't make the funny white woman joke. Please, I beg you.
Don't get it. You don't know what nodding is. What are these women reading, bro? What happened to that, like, stupid fucking corny Hallmark thing, going home for Christmas to your hometown and falling in love with the cute farmer boy? What?
Because Hallmark sucks. There, I said it, okay? I had to say it, okay? It's repetitive. I understand why people watch it. I understand the appeal, okay? But there's just not enough deviation for me. Okay, there, I said it. I'm sorry, okay? I can't get with the Hallmark, okay? It's too clean. It's too safe.
What happened to that? We used to make fun of that. We truly did not know what we had until it was gone. Now women out here fantasizing about getting their asses clapped by demons and werewolves and goblins and ghouls. I remember when 50 Shades of Grey came out and people were like, oh my...
I'm just remembering from the JonTron video, continue, right? King Misfit whipped out his hellacious, redacted of course, that lives rent-free in my brain.
God, this is so crazy. Women are crazy. 50 Shades of Grey looks like missionary sex through a bedsheet for the sole purpose of procreation compared to the shit the average woman on TikTok is reading. At least
So here's the problem. Oh, let me let her finish.
Christian Grey was a human man and not a fucking dog. You fantasize.
So here's the problem with 50 Shades of Grey. Everyone I've talked to about it, just like so about this thing, right? It very much is actually an unhealthy relationship, and that's the problem I would have with it. Don't really like. It's like you read what you want. Like, cool, whatever. I don't know. Like, just go about it, right? The problem with 50 Shades specifically is the non-consensual aspect of the relationship, from what I understand, and I cannot agree with that. Obviously, yes, there is a thing such as consensual non-consent. I would not trust 90% of people out there to actually do that correctly, if I'm being completely honest, because the part that people will forget is the literal word consent in there that follows consensual, or sorry, that predicates it, right? Consensual non-consent. Well, but it's non-consent. I don't think you understand how this works, and that is why you will fail. What was the oh god, because I posted this in the Discord. What was it? There were two specific books that came up. I think it was like Bear. It was about, like, I don't know, a woman in Canada who got a little too close to, like, an actual bear. That one I guess exists, which legality question mark? What was the other one that came up? Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Tags, trigger and content warning. Child redacted trafficking. R word, which I cannot say. SA. Dubious consent scenarios. Red fluids. Red rum. I can't even say that. I don't think I can even say those last three. I think that might be I don't know. I think that might be a specific, like, niche interest. I don't know, dude. Like, but then again, is that also not the purpose of art, to be able to, in a safe capacity, explore things, right? To be able to, like, explore concepts in a safe setting, right? But then again, you also have to, is this going to be something like Mein Kampf, which is trying to change your opinion on something, or is this giving you as the reader, as the person intaking the information, the tools to come to your own formulated opinion, right? And I think there's a difference here. What is the intent behind the writing, right? What is the intent behind the piece? And I think that is also a big thing to understand.
About dating the quiet, shy, nerdy girl. She's innocent, she's pure, she's not like those...
No, she's not. Oh man, those bookmarks are gonna be wild.
Other girls like going out clubbing and hooking up with random men. No, she's at home, curled up by the fire in a blanket, reading a book. Except that book is about f***ing a half man, half bull. Let me let you in on
I don't know, man. All I'm saying, it's always the shy ones.
a little secret. The quiet nerdy girl is way more of a freak than the average hoe. Are you kidding me? It's not even close. The average hoe might have a body count of like 15 or so, but the quiet nerdy girl is fantasizing about getting back shots from Cthulhu. That
Yeah. No, this tracks.
is at least 100 bodies. Now listen, there's nothing inherently wrong with fantasizing, okay? There's nothing wrong with role play. You know, fiction is fiction, right? You know, you're not actually going to bang your stepsister, right? These women are not actually going to bang a cow, or at least
Hopefully.
I hope not. We all know
Legally, that's not really a thing you can do.
there is a difference between fantasy and reality. Well, what happens when they try to bring fantasy into reality?
Oh no, please don't. Why do I feel like we're about to go over some police reports?
Well, you get Sinners and Stardust.
Okay, this took a left turn from where I thought this was going, if I'm being honest. I'm more okay with that. Not Pyramid Head, dude. Come on.
What in the eyes wide shut is going on here? Sinners
I think it just pisses me off even more because, like, on the gaming channel, like, we just went through, because I went through Silent Hill 4. That was my first Silent Hill game this past year, like, ever. And then I watched Totally Pointless TV's videos on, like, all of his Silent Hill videos that he has. I finally played through Silent Hill 2 Remake. I still need to play through OG, but I know the gist of how it goes and some of the differences between it and the remake. You would play both, but for different reasons, kind of like Majora's Mask 3D. I think it pisses me off because this is still a misuse of Pyramid Head. Like, Pyramid Head pisses me off knowing that it comes back in Homecoming because, like, that's not the point of Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head was supposed to be, like, James's manifestation of wanting to punish himself. Like, then again, I guess, like, hearing that, now I can kind of see it. I understand it. Like, I look at it and I understand why someone would want to, but I think it just pisses me off at this point because it's a bastardization of the actual intention behind the creature, behind the design. And then there's two Pyramid Heads that show up at the end, right? We're going to get a Pyramid Head DP going? Is that what's going to happen? Oh, my God.
and Stardust was supposed to be a dark romance ball for romantasy authors and fans alike. So what's the big deal? Seems like a fun, sexy time, right? Maybe, if you're a woman. If you're a man, the night may have gone a little differently for you.
Oh, no.
Alright, y'all, it appears I have to make a post that I'm frankly pretty goddamn upset I have to make. This post is for the readers who don't understand consent and boundaries only. A lot of you may know my good
This is actually going to piss me off because as somebody who has gone to a couple cons, right? In Idaho, we had like Anime Oasis. We had Tomodachi, Tomo fandom as well. Cosplay is not consent has been a very big issue in the cosplay scene for a hot minute, like even prior to me being there. So this is actually going to make me genuinely angry.
friend Animus. He's attended a signing of mine in the past and obviously is a musical artist. This past weekend, he attended Sinners and Stardust and probably had one of the most heartbreaking experiences. So listen, he's a man, right? But do we think that means it's okay to put your hands all over him without consent?
Oh my God, why is it okay when women do it? Cosplay is not consent, okay? It's creepy. It's off. Like, you have to have consent, okay? Like, what happens if, like, I don't know. What happens if, like, someone was in a Yoko Littner cosplay, right? Like, right now. Someone was in a Yoko Littner cosplay. Or somebody was cosplaying CT from Code Geass, right? Saiko Busujima from High School of the Dead, right? And someone just decided to, I don't know, grope them. Do you know how quick everyone would turn on that person? Like how everyone universally, unilaterally would just like you're done. We're going to get the police involved. Why is it okay when women do it? That's not how consent works. In fact, that is an abuse of consent, if you want to be completely honest about it. Yes, so when we talk about consent can be redacted at any point in time. There is technically an asterisk where, like, you can offer consent, you can have consent, but then, like, redact it, and then you have consent again, you redact it, and you keep redacting it, right? There's a niche interaction, which is the asterisk, where that can be abused. Like, Another abuse of consent is saying that you support consent, but your actions clearly show you don't support consent because it only matters when other people do it, or they do it in ways that you don't agree with, right? You have to have consent for everybody in the back, right? Like, cosplay is not consent. You have to ask. You have to make sure. I don't understand it, bro. Like, actual genuine frustration with people. This is actually my problem with even remotely trying to approach a modern relationship. Because, like, dude, this is rough. I am so sorry for this dude. Well, but Kip, what if they were tense? Bro, I don't care if everyone in that room was an actual bikini model. Cosplay is not consent. That's not how that works. We have to make sure we're being fair. We have to make sure we're getting consent. That's not how that works.
Or to put your hands in his waistband or down his pants or touch his dick. Hello? Do we think it's okay to quite literally back him into a corner and touch all over him to the point that he literally cannot tell how many hands are on him and whose are whose? Do we think
reverse the positions? Would this be okay to do to a woman? No, this would not be okay. Would this be okay to do to a non-binary person? This is not okay.
It's okay to send him into an actual panic attack because of this? Furthermore, do we think it's okay to interrogate him and insist he detail how he'd kidnap a woman, despite him repeatedly saying he wouldn't do that and that shit is fiction, and then attempt to follow him when he tries to get away? And if that
is next. And so here's the thing. That also violates consent as well in a different way, right? So here's the thing, right? Having a conversation with somebody, right? We're having a conversation, right? And they're like, Kip, I'm a little bit into the vampirism, right? Just a little bit of red paint. No, I'm not doing it. What do you mean you're not doing it? No, I refuse. I do not do anything with red paint. That is an instant. I don't want to do it. Even art, right? Like even like fantasy art of like slashing through someone, right? Like no, I don't do it. I if I see red, it just turns me off. Like. Let me rephrase that. If I see red, I just don't want to deal with it. Like that is a boundary I have. That is a limit, okay? Like, but Kip, you play Resident Evil and you play Dead Space. Yes, and I'm aware there's body horror. Yes, I'm aware how contradictory it sounds, right? Like, I am aware, okay? And it also, like, it has been a point of me trying to mull over how I'm okay with a game like Dead Space for all intents and purposes, but Gears of War is kind of too far for me. I just don't want to do it. I just don't. I will not deal with red in any, especially spicy capacities. I will not deal with it. And I know people are into like the Hyman play. I get people, I can't do it. No, I won't. I refuse. That is a limit, right? And if the person continued to push, well, but like if I had fangs and going after your jugular or maybe something on your arm, I'm not talking about this. What do you not understand about a limit? But Kip, is that necessarily fair if you set a limit and they don't set limits? If someone tells you they have no limits, run. Do you like? I literally cannot say the things. If they say they have no limits, run. Everyone reasonably has limits. I literally cannot talk about the things. I literally cannot say the things. Okay, like. Someone saying they absolutely have no limits and meaning it entails they are into some absolutely dangerous, foul, illegal stuff. Like that. No, if they have, let me just making sure I impress this. If they say they have no limits, regardless of if they're a man, a woman, non-binary, run. Get out of there.
that wasn't enough. During the time of this mob, him and another author received notification that an air tag was tracking him, which showed on his person all the way to his hotel room.
I feel that should honestly be like that should be additive to crimes, right? Like if you are trying to do something, whether like do something against the person and an air tag is found, that should escalate a crime. because of how common AirTag tracking is now.
They molested this guy until he passed out from anxiety. And then they put a f***ing tracker on him in order to stalk him back to his hotel. This poor guy dressed like a character in one of the romantasy books at this romantasy convention full of women. That is like throwing roast beef into a pit of wolves. Or in this case, throwing a wolf into a pit of roast beef.
See, here's the thing though, right? Like, the problem with this is what if you're the guy in that situation, right? And I'm having to like de-escalate myself a little bit, right? Because this hits a little too close to home in certain aspects. If you're a guy and you are being advanced upon or being pressed upon, you are frowned upon if you fight back. You are frowned upon if, like, for example, if you're getting hit, right? Someone who did, me. I could not strike back because I know if I did, like, especially when they're like 100 pounds less than me, it is not going to end well. And in fact, I will be seen as the party at fault, even though the other party initiated hitting me. Like, in a situation like this, it is, especially with, you know, being able to deal with this in a safe space, right, over the internet, right, being able to not be in the situation, the problem that we run into is he can't reasonably fight back too. Because then he starts getting labeled as a misogynist. Then he starts getting labeled as, you know, abusing women. Then he starts getting labeled as a number of things, right? And I personally don't want anybody, man, woman, whatever, right? I don't want anybody to ever have to feel that powerlessness. Sure, you could strike back, but you know that there are consequences even if it is self-defense. And I don't want anyone else to feel that. That's not a good feeling in any way, shape, or form. So I can empathize with this.
I remember years ago, there was this thing called cosplay is not consent. Basically, It was a campaign to bring attention to the fact that people at conventions would often come up to women dressed in sexy costumes and just grope and grab them without their consent. Yeah, apparently we have to bring that back because these women did not get the memo.
It never went away. People just choose to not, like, engage with it.
Furry for over a decade and attended a lot of fur cons. Sure, sometimes weird shit happens, but honestly, I can't believe the dark romance crowd is out here acting like this. Like, me and my buddies in our fursuits are more respecting of consent and bodily autonomy. Get your shit together, y'all.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with the furry community. I really don't. And that's not because all of them work in IT, all of them, you know, effectively keep the backbone of, you know, apps, services, and stuff up. Like, it's actually just like, yeah, like I might not truly understand it, but like I respect it, right? Because as it turns out, furry and zoo are not the same thing. I'm going to keep signal boosting this because people still don't understand. They are not mutually exclusive. They are not the same. And I'm going to keep bringing it up whenever it comes up because it needs to get normalized. Like, dude, it's so bad just to see people lack etiquette and just common decency.
When the furries are calling you out for being freaks, you need to reflect. Something has gone horribly wrong. Not only were the men at this book talk convention assaulted, but women were also assaulted by women.
Yeah.
Multiple women.
This is actually a problem as well. And I've talked about how I used to have a friend who had a roommate when she was in college. This was a couple decades ago, as the story. But this her female roommate tried getting really like playful and, you know, grabbing her. And, you know, this is a like the person who is being impressed upon is like a 6 foot tall like woman, like Amazon status. Completely lifted her up, like slammed her against the wall and told her never to do that again. And then the person who was like getting really gropey with her had the audacity to cry and say that, you know, she's being so mean and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, women do this to other women too, and it is actually a problem. Nobody, regardless of gender, has the ability to touch you without your consent. You need to have consent. Like, women committing like acts like these against women is a very big problem. Oh, but we're just girls, and oh, you know, it doesn't really matter. If you don't want the other woman to touch you, you don't have to let the other woman touch you. That's how that works.
Women, including a performer, reported being assaulted there as well.
Yep.
Even an author there said she was groped and dragged away from her friends and said no matter how many times she said no, quote, my words did nothing.
Yep.
May I remind you, this is a book convention, okay? For books. Literal BDSM clubs are more respectful than this. They're
Correct. You know what? And that's the thing. You know what? A lot of people could actually learn something from the BDSM community, very specifically how communication and consent works, right? Guarantee you, if you sat down and talked with like a professional dom and a professional sub, like pair probably, right, reasonably, I'm sure that they could enlighten a lot of people's worlds on how that actually works. Have I talked to, professionals in the sphere? No. I know that like Project Melody, Lewdcast, I think Cottontail VA has talked about some things, right? But and then when they bring up things, I'm like, no, that makes complete sense. I'm on, this just makes sense, right? A lot of it's pretty common sense, but like common sense ain't so common. And if you're truly looking for how could you do something that extreme? And obviously there's like a spectrum of how extreme things get, right? Whether it's just, suspension, whether it's candle wax, whether it's, full gimp suits, right? Like there's a spectrum, right? You could learn a lot by literally talking to those people.
needs to be more studies on how this stuff affects women's brains, because clearly some are unable to tell the difference between fantasy and reality.
Right.
Ivy Lipton, a doctoral candidate in human sexuality, actually wrote about this for EV Magazine. I don't know what a doctoral candidate in human sexuality is, but she's hot, so I trust her. Your brain on orgasms isn't neutral. Dopamine release during climax is a powerful conditioning agent. What you repeatedly fantasize about becomes necessary for arousal. If your erotic imagination centers around abuse, monstrous violence, and submission to non-human entities, your brain is reprogramming itself to crave just that. It's not empowerment, it's neuroplasticity at its darkest.
You've heard it right here. Men, as it turns out, if you want to like something more, if you want to train your brain, clearly more nut is required, is what this translates to. Thanks, I hate it. I mean, honestly, this makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense in regards to why people would develop certain things, and why when people say that S crimes happen, and why when there's a why there's an escalation, right? And like why when you start getting to the point where S crimes are actually kind of like a thing you engage with, whether it's, like looking at it, reading about it, engaging in it at the extreme end, right? Like why it's, some people say it's impossible to recondition. This is actually really interesting.
Scientists, psychologists, and the general public often state that men are visual and women are emotional. When it comes to sex, men can be turned on instantly by a sexual image despite their mood, and women need to be turned on emotionally to get in the mood. So it's
I mean, on average, yeah.
stands to reason that porn for men is visual and porn for women is in the mind. I'm not equating porn to smut novels, because one is a video of two people actually having real sex, and the other is, well, just words on paper. I am, however, talking about the effect on the consumer. We know watching porn is bad for the brain. That's been proven and only rejected by Gooners who don't want to give it up. But is reading smut bad? You might say, duh, that's the whole point. Okay, fair enough. So let me rephrase, is reading smut harmful? Should we shame people for things that are wrong, immoral, or harmful? In my line of work, I've been told many times that shame has no place in sex. But if I use my brain for 2 seconds, it's clear that line of thinking is nonsense.
Oh no, absolutely. No, I already see where this is going. Yes, there are certain things that should be a hard line in the sand.
Incest should be shamed, bestiality should be shamed, pedophilia should be shamed. I'm not equating monster smut with these things, but there are 50 shades of gray, so to speak, along the spectrum of harmful. Conditioning your brain and body to associate pleasure with monsters, slavery, or sexual violence is not healthy. Basically, they're cooked. Women are cooked. They are frying their brains with this stuff. It's a pipeline, right? It's like the infamous evil alt-right pipeline. You start watching Shoe0nHead, owning the feminists in 2015, and then in 2025, you're hailing Hitler, right? The alt-right pipeline. And this one's like, you're reading Morning Glory Milking Farm, and the next thing you know, you're Mrs. Hands, right? Just say no. Just say no to monster porn. But why is monster smut so popular with women in particular? You rarely see the opposite, and when you do, it's just like a girl with cat ears and fangs, or like a 10-foot-tall dommy-mommy vampire with giant titties. Meanwhile, women are like, I want to f the pollution monster from Fern Gully. So
Gross.
people on Reddit asked this very question. Let's see the responses. Why do you
God. It's Reddit. I mean, it's not, at least it's not 4chan.
guys like monster romances? Asking for a friend. Several reasons. 1, human men are quite often terrible. Romance books with human men are already partly fantasy, but Monsters just takes the fantasy bit further. 2, it's sort of human nature to imagine relationships with paranormal beings and creatures. We've been doing it in literature and art for centuries. It's just gotten a lot more graphic now, lol. 3, unique body forms / parts and so many different kinds of dicks.
It was really funny, and I will always bring this up. There was a VTuber who found out that I guess Bad Dragon did a Rathalos collab, like a Monster Hunter collab. They did like a Rathalos thing, or maybe it was unofficial. I don't remember. Point is, Rathalos was mentioned, and it was like for men. And this VTuber, like in all caps, is like, and why is it for men? And that kind of stuck with me as kind of a point that I like reflect on, and like it might have been unofficial. I don't know. Point it was Rathalos was mentioned, and it's just really funny because I reflect on that and like. Have you seen catalogs of shapes and things? Have you seen like the things that are on websites that you can buy right now? It's really interesting that like I don't know. It's very interesting to consider. I don't know how to like properly explain it. It's very interesting to see women not get like say a Rathalos style toy, but instead it goes to men, and there's people who seem genuinely upset about it. I'm sure there's a commentary there. It's very funny to me.
Scary, mean, terrifying creature is sweet to her, kind, takes care of her, protects her, works hard to be gentle, etc. Maximal escapism, minimal association to real life assholes, the patriarchy, misogyny, and oppression of women, etc, etc. Because the monsters are less dangerous than dating actual men.
I mean, I feel this just applies to people in general, right? Like, clearly going to this convention where, like, people were literally, like, groped and cornered and, like, touched without their consent, right? Like, once again, why are we not applying this when this happens to women? And then it comes down to, like, well, on average, statistically, X% overwhelmingly of these kind of crimes are men. And I look at that and I go, so does that make it any less valid when a woman perpetrates this? Why is that kind of used as a shield, right? So absolutely, we can say an overwhelming percentage of certain acts are perpetrated by men, right? So because only a minority percentage of women do it, like say 70-30 split, right? Because only 30% of women do it. I'm just pulling numbers out of thin air. Because 30% of women do it, that means when a woman does it, it doesn't matter. Is that I'm sorry, what? Did I just take stupid juice? Did I miss something here? Like what is being insinuated here by this? Like why is this? Yes, absolutely. Having information, having citations, absolutely. I'm on board with that. But why are we using it as justification, right?
As a fat woman of color, modern, contemporary, and even fantasy romances are hard to click to because they are almost always about thin white women and just too realistic, and romance in real life is not always attainable for fat women/women of color. In monster alien romance, though, my size doesn't matter, and it's easier to get into that headspace and enjoy it.
I'm sure that the face hugger in Alien doesn't really care what your what your body shape is. I'm sorry, I looked at chat and saw Xenomorph, and I thought that was the perfect segue for that.
Sick of the men on Earth and looking for some variety. Non-humans haven't betrayed and hurt me, so they feel like a safe haven, if that makes sense. Plus the unusual dick. Monsters have big, fun-shaped cocks. I love some bizarre peen. Unique genitalia.
I mean, I can get behind it. Like, I can understand and empathize, but like that's the point of like being a toy, right? Like, if it becomes a hard discussion to have because people will encamp in their own positions, and then people will, they'll be very quick to polarize and take sides. Look, if you want the funny dragon thing or the horse, okay, why should I specifically care? Okay, if as long as it is kept as a toy, right? And then there obviously is some there's some ethical and moral dilemmas in regards to like how certain companies will get shapes and stuff like that, how certain companies get certain casting and stuff like that, right? Like there's moral and ethical issues that can arise in that sphere, as I understand it. But like there's a huge leap in logic and you're not doing it responsibly, if, I don't know, you you take the horse out for a ride, right? Or suddenly you have man's best friend being your best friend. This feels weird to talk about, if I'm being completely honest, right? Like, there's an escalation there, right? And that would showcase someone who is just honestly, like, fried and cooked, and, like, there's a reason things like these are illegal. If I understand it, actually, I think it counts as crimes against nature in certain areas, and that can actually, like, carry, like, higher sentences than, like big crimes, right? Like, not saying that isn't a big crime in itself, right? But, like, there are laws and regulations about these kind of things, right? Like, there's a line you don't cross.
I don't know what I was expecting, honestly. A lot of women's smut, especially monster smut, is about submission, domination, forced breeding, non-consensual consent. The women are, like, conquered and
Most of the people who talk about consensual non-consent don't actually know what it entails, to be fair.
taken and overpowered by these monsters. And I think many of these women are reading these books containing monsters and not men because masculinity and dominance in men has been completely demonized in modern society. But the truth is, many women still crave it. You see,
Yeah, I would actually go so far as to say that when people talk about consensual non-consent in this capacity, they're in fact talking about Stockholm Syndrome.
the monsters in these stories have those, like, dominant masculine traits that women like so much, but they're not human men. They have all these traits women desire without the problematic baggage human men bring, without being the men they hate or have been told to hate. It is the perfect guilt-free slop. But they don't just want a wild dominant man. They want to tame a wild dominant man. Similar to
So similarly to guys saying I can fix her, it's women saying she can fix him.
when a man sees an art hoe with a nose ring, you can save her from her daddy issues. You can do it. It definitely won't backfire and ruin your life. Go
Oh
for
my
it. Go talk to
God.
her. With many women, there's this desire for, like, danger and aggression, but also the desire to tame that danger and aggression. The desire to be that special woman who can melt his heart. You see, my dragon boyfriend could rip me to shreds and kill me instantly, but he won't because he's nice and he loves me. But honestly, at the end of the day, just like the video I made about the anime girl in a wheelchair where men were saying, this is the average male fantasy, and a bunch of women were like, you wanna rape a disabled girl? When in reality, it was just a distilled manifestation of the average male fantasy, which is to protect and provide for a sweet woman and save her. This is, like, basically the flip of that, right? This is just the distilled manifestation of the female fantasy. Men are seeing this and they're saying, what do you mean you want to milk a minotaur? When in reality, it's just to have a big, strong protector and provider swoop you up and save you. And like I said in that video, they're basically both the same fantasy. This is a tale as old as time, the princess being saved from the dragon by a knight in shining armor, whether the dragon be a wheelchair or student loans, you know? But in this case, the woman is being f***ed by the dragon and the knight sits in the corner and watches or something, I don't know.
I just want to point out that the moral of the story, right, like what is being presented, is that a struggling college student strapped and saddled down by student loan debts who's had to move back home is seen as a strong and empowered woman because she engages in milking a magical creature. What sort of moral and, like, lesson is imparted, right? Like, we want to talk about Animal Farm. What sort of moral and lesson is kind of presented by that? God, I have to think about it for a second. Because it goes down to, like, what? I know what I want to say, but I lack the words to say it, so I'm actually going to Google this really quick. Animal Farm moral. No, not the AI overview. I don't want Kiora. Spark Notes offers a contemporary on the development of class tyranny. That's honestly what I wanted to say, like, because I was going to go on to, like, corruption, being able to, fight positions of power and then being in a position of power and then ultimately corrupting you. That is a much more succinct and direct explanation. It offers a commentary on the development of class tyranny, right? If we look at, I don't know, Lord of the Flies, which has several, actually. We've talked about them previously. If I go to SparkNotes, the central concern of Lord of the Flies is a conflict between two competing impulses that exist within all human beings, right? And yeah, I mean, you can also drag more out of that, specifically Great Britain at the time, right? Being, civilized boys, civilized men, right? Civility. Well, not civility, but like, you get what I'm saying, right? Like, literally, like, what would the moral of this book be? That you can sell yourself out to spicy work to be able to better your life? Like what is the moral that you pull from this? And I think that needs to be explored more. Like if we go to and this is gonna put me on a watch list. What is the moral of Mein Kampf? We're gonna see if I can actually even read this. Britannica, ADL. I'm probably not getting the SparkNotes version if I'm being completely honest. We'll do Yad Vashem, world's H word. I don't know if I can say Remembrance Center. Translated as My Struggle, a book written by Funny Mustache Man while in jail in 1924. Purpose in writing Mein Kampf. Yes, I'm trying to get to that. I'm trying to figure. Like, I'm there's a point here. I promise. Major themes of the books are the superiors of the Aryan race. Grats. The book tells me that specific people are just better than other people. You see how that's a kind of moral that, like, you understand how brainwashing works. You understand, like, why this book is so well, especially because of the person who wrote it, right? But why this is a controversial work, right? And I'm sure we could go over like some of the banned books like Lolita and why that's controversial, right? I would invite you to do your own research, right? And think about what is the moral of books? What is the moral of Mice and Men, right? The best played lands of Mice and Men. You can do everything right, but things still go wrong, kind of thing. I actually had to have a conversation about that. Totally, had an actual crash out mid, I think, Fat Electrician reaction because I couldn't genuinely remember. What is the moral you're pulling from this? And I think that is something that should be thought about a lot more.
Maybe it's not that deep. There are some hungers better starved than fed. And maybe as women, for the sake of society, we have to starve our hunger for Minotaur p***ness. That's the moral of this video. So what do you guys think? What is your theory? Why is the monster romance genre so popular with women in particular? And who is your weirdest hear me out? Be honest. I don't want to hear no Lola Bunny, okay? You all know mine already.
It's got to be the snout, right? As well as the fin, how it curves. I could see this. I have to like work with it in a 3D space. I could see this. God, what would my hear me out be? I gotta think on that, actually. I genuinely don't know offhand. Let me rehear the question again.
Honest. I don't want to hear no. And who is your weirdest hear me out? Be honest. I don't want to hear no Lola Bunny, okay? You all know mine already.
Does Wicked Thunder count from 14? Just giant Kieran horse raid boss thing? Does Wicked Thunder count? Yeah, I think that would count, right? Right? Maybe. I'm in the way. Yeah, I know. Hold up, give me a second. Does Wicked Thunder count? Like, obviously, like, she starts as, like, Eutrope on the right. But then, like, because raid mechanic, like... Thank you, 14 fandom. I love you. Yeah, I would say Wicked Thunder, probably. Yeah. That's probably mine. Probably.
It's not that he's a fish, okay? He has an energy, okay? He has a vibe.
It's the scar too, yeah.
You know what, never mind. And I will see you guys again really soon with a new video. Bye!
Oh my god, I watch way too much. I play 14 way too much. I really do. I'm waiting for the after credits. Shoe0nHead actually have an after credits? Or am I gonna get, are we gonna get, funny Sneeko chaired?
I love how the f***ing Bowl Man is a progressive, by the way. He's a feminist. He voted for Hillary. He would have voted for Obama 3 times if he could.
Oh my god, that's even better. So yeah, something messaging like we talked earlier. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I feel like I'm pretty accepting of a lot of stuff, right? And I feel like this is going to be an interest. I don't know how we 3x this video, if I'm being honest. I'm so sorry for wasting your guys' time. But this is going to be an enlightening video for a lot of people, I'll tell you what. That being said, for those that are curious, yes, my waifu model is the exact model I used when I raid in Final Fantasy XIV, even right down to Thumosis, augmented Thumosis specifically, although I don't have the animations on the axe because of things. But that being said, there are reference sheets and designs if any artists are looking for something to do. God. Oh, this video is gonna get derailed. I don't know, dude. Like, I think as long as you're doing things like respectfully and reasonably, right? I don't know. I get it, different shapes, different things, right? Like, obviously, there's, like, the actual legal boundaries of don't do this with an actual, like, non-human entity, right? Like, don't cross those lines. But, I mean, if somebody has, I don't know, like, a 2-foot-long horse-wang toy, I don't care, bro. I genuinely don't. I think that when we talk about, trying to say, you know, oh, well, it's smut, it's different, right? I do think that there is a little bit of hypocrisy going on, and it's like, you do technically open yourself up to criticism, right? And as long as it's valid criticism, that's fine, right? Like if somebody said, you know, I think that you ended up in the consent section, I think you got a little too emotionally invested, Kip. Right, that's a critique, right? Wow, you pause way too much, Fivehead. Watch the original video. It's in the description. It's in the description for a reason, Fivehead, right? Like valid versus invalid criticism, right? Or at least good faith versus bad faith. But like, I don't know. I'm very, I feel, accepting of a lot of different people. It needs to be fair. It needs to be reasonable. There are definitely red lines that do get crossed, and there's things that definitely end up being concerning. And that's the thing, is that's where it's on the way to the pipeline where you go to an event and you just, for all intents and purposes, essay some poor dude, right? Or you just essay another woman, right? Like that you need to catch yourself way before you even get to that point, because that should be like you should be in jail. You should be in prison for literally committing essay against somebody, right? That's not okay. So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one. I feel people are going to be like, I mean, I'm kind of vanilla. I'm pretty milquetoast, a lot of things considered, right? But like, just don't be weird about it, right? Just don't be weird. I think that's where we're going to end the note on. Thank you, Shoe0nHead, for an amazing video. Hopefully, because I know there's people who haven't seen the waifu model yet. I don't know what to do with it. I bring it out when I want to be silly or I want to like do different things. It's also really funny because I get comments about like people genuinely like, Kip, I genuinely don't know. Are you a dude or not? And I'm like, no, I'm a dude. I'm a dude through and through. I just do this to be silly. I do this to shitpost. It's fun. It's funny because apparently I've been told I float on that gender fluid line a little too well. It's really funny to me. I also discourage egg emoji comments as well. I'm a dude. Please don't speculate if I'm an egg or am going to be something, right? Please keep your harebrained theories to yourself if I'm being completely honest. I'll respect you if you respect me. How that works. But thank you, everyone. I do appreciate it. I had a lot of fun with this. Hopefully you enjoyed the waifu model. Hopefully you just enjoyed the subject material. Maybe it was enlightening. Maybe there was a conversation you came out of this, and maybe you're thinking, man, cosplay is not consent. Never heard of that. I can apply this to different areas of my life, right? And maybe you got some value out of it. Thank you for watching. Really do appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one.